If you want me to cry, I can cry, John Travolta once said, reflecting a man who understands sorrow, not as an idea, but as a companion. For decades, loss followed him quietly, reshaping how he saw the world. By the time he reached his 70s, grief was no longer a moment in his life, but a language he spoke fluently. Fame never prepared him for that reality. At 71, Travolta no longer chases noise or validation. Instead, he has chosen stillness, a deliberate slowing. After a lifetime spent moving fast, those close to him noticed subtle changes, not signs of despair, but signs of reflection. He speaks more carefully now, holds moments longer, and values presence over performance. His story is not about endings, but about endurance. To understand the man he has become, you must look beyond the spotlight and into the quiet spaces where resilience lives. A childhood built on family and creativity. From the very beginning, family shaped John Travolta's understanding of the world. Raised in Inglewood, New Jersey, he was the youngest of 6 children in a home where creativity was part of daily life. His father, Salvatore, once pursued athletics before choosing stability to provide for his family. His mother, Helen, stepped away from performing to teach drama, bringing imagination into their home. The Travolta household was filled with music, movement, and playful competition. Each child explored artistic expression, not for applause, but for connection. John learned early that performance was about communication, not ego. Love and discipline existed side by side. That environment gave him confidence without entitlement. Long before Hollywood noticed him, he had already learned the value of belonging. Those early years created a foundation that would support him through fame, disappointment, and unimaginable personal loss later in life. Choosing a dream before it was safe by his mid-teens, John Travolta understood that acting was not a hobby, but a calling. With the encouragement of his family, he made the difficult choice to leave high school and pursue professional training. It was not an easy decision, and it carried real risk. New York City offered opportunity, but no guarantees. He enrolled in acting classes, auditioned constantly, and accepted small stage roles wherever he could find them. While others his age lived predictable routines, John spent nights studying scripts and days facing rejection. The loneliness never fully set in because his family remained his anchor. They believed in him even when results were slow. That unwavering support allowed him to persist. Those early struggles taught him humility and patience, lessons that fame would later test. Success did not arrive overnight, but when it came, it was built on years of quiet persistence. Finding his voice on television. John Travolta's first real breakthrough arrived through television, where consistency mattered more than spectacle. Small guest roles led to bigger opportunities, but nothing compared to landing the role of Vinnie Barbarino on Welcome Back, Kotter. The character resonated because it felt honest. John brought warmth, humor, and vulnerability to the screen, and audiences responded immediately. The show became a success, and Travolta became a familiar face across America. Yet even during this rise, he remained focused on growth rather than comfort. He saw television not as a destination, but a doorway. While fame grew quickly, he continued training, refining his craft, and preparing for film. His family watched proudly from the sidelines, reminding him who he was beyond the role. That grounding would become essential as Hollywood's attention intensified, and expectations soared beyond anything he could have imagined. When the world began to dance. The late 1970s transformed John Travolta into a cultural symbol. Saturday Night Fever captured ambition, restlessness, and identity with rare emotional honesty. His portrayal of Tony Manero earned him an Academy Award nomination at just 24 years old. Soon after, Grease followed, offering joy, music, and charisma that crossed generations. Together, the films made Travolta a global phenomenon. He wasn't just acting, he was shaping culture. The pressure was immense. Every movement, every choice was watched. Success arrived faster than reflection could keep up. Yet beneath the confidence was a young man still learning how to carry expectation. The world celebrated endlessly, but little space existed for rest. These years defined his legacy, but they also planted the first seeds of exhaustion. When success becomes identity, the cost often appears later, quietly and unexpectedly. When fame became unforgiving, Hollywood's attention is powerful, but unpredictable. As trends shifted in the early 1980s, roles that once felt natural became harder to find. Some projects struggled, and public perception changed quickly. For the first time, John Travolta experienced what it meant to be overlooked. Yet, this period was not a collapse, but a recalibration. He continued working, learning from each experience, rather than retreating. He explored different genres and adjusted expectations. Fame had taught him visibility, setback taught him resilience. While the industry moved on, he remained committed to craft. These quieter years forced him to separate self-worth from applause. That distinction became crucial later in life. He learned that relevance could disappear, but purpose did not have to. The lessons from this chapter would prepare him for a return that few thought possible. Reinvention through courage. In 1994, John Travolta made one of the boldest choices of his career. Accepting the role of Vincent Vega in Pulp Fiction required humility and risk. The character was flawed, unpredictable, and deeply human. Travolta leaned into vulnerability rather than image. The result was a career revival that redefined how audiences saw him. The film earned critical acclaim and it restored his standing in Hollywood. What followed was a period of thoughtful success, with roles in Get Shorty, Face / Off, and Primary Colors. This second act was different. It was not driven by momentum, but intention. Travolta chose roles that challenged him rather than defined him. Reinvention became his strength. He proved that growth does not depend on youth, but on courage. That mindset would later help him endure losses no performance could prepare him for. Love, family, and devastating loss. While the public focused on his career, John Travolta's private life held his greatest joys and deepest pain. His relationships were rooted in loyalty and devotion. The loss of his former partner, Diana Hyland, early in his life, left a lasting mark, teaching him how fragile connection could be. Years later, his marriage to Kelly Preston brought stability, partnership, and shared purpose. Together, they built a family centered on love. The death of their son, Jet, in 2009 shattered that world. Grief reshaped everything. Acting became secondary. Healing became survival. When Kelly later passed away in 2020 after a private illness, the loss reopened wounds that never fully closed. Through it all, Travolta remained present for his children. Family became his reason to keep going. These experiences transformed him, stripping life down to what truly mattered: love, memory, and endurance, faith, reflection, and inner strength. Throughout his life, John Travolta sought tools to understand pain and remain grounded. His spiritual beliefs provided structure during moments when the world felt unsteady. He has spoken about finding comfort in practices that helped him process loss rather than escape it. Faith, for him, was not about answers, but about stability. During his darkest periods, community and reflection offered support when words failed. Over time, his approach became quieter and more personal. Reflection replaced explanation. He no longer felt the need to define his beliefs publicly. What mattered was what worked for him and his family. This inward shift mirrored the broader changes in his life. He learned that strength does not come from certainty, but from the ability to sit with uncertainty without collapsing. That internal resilience became his greatest accomplishment. Choosing quiet over applause. Today, John Travolta lives intentionally away from constant attention. He spends his time focused on family, routine, and personal interests that bring peace rather than noise. Public appearances are rare, not from absence, but from choice. He values normalcy after decades of spectacle. Those close to him describe a man who is thoughtful, gentle, and present. He reflects more than he reacts. The world remembers him dancing, smiling, or commanding screens. But his real legacy may be quieter. It is the strength to keep living after loss, to remain open after heartbreak, and to choose meaning over momentum. His journey reminds us that fame can amplify joy, but it cannot protect us from pain. In the end, John Travolta's story is not about celebrity. It is about surviving love, loss, and time itself with dignity intact.